Freddie Mercury, the tragedy, the genius, the final days. Before he was a legend, he was a misfit. Before he became Freddie Mercury, he was Farrokh Bulsara, a shy boy with big teeth, bigger dreams, and the kind of voice that could change the air in a room. To the world, he was untouchable, a rock god, the voice of a generation. But behind the eyeliner and the explosive stage presence was a man who battled isolation, secrets, and, in the end, a silent war against the deadliest epidemic of his time. This isn't just a story about a singer. It's about masks, identity, and one man's unrelenting need to create beauty, even as his own life unraveled. This is the story of Freddie Mercury, the man who turned pain into spectacle, fear into fire, and gave the world his voice, even as it was killing him. By the mid-1980s, Queen had climbed the mountain and then some. They had conquered America, headlined every major venue, and rewritten the rules of stadium rock. Their music had become timeless. Bohemian Rhapsody, Somebody to Love, We Will Rock You, Don't Stop Me Now, and dozens more. But even as Freddie Mercury ruled the stage, something darker loomed just behind the spotlight. For most of his life, Freddie lived in contradiction. On stage, he was fearless. Off stage, he was guarded. Born in 1946 in Zanzibar and raised in India before moving to England, Freddie grew up feeling like an outsider in every room. His sexuality, his ethnicity, his mannerisms all made him different. And while Queen soared through the 70s, Freddie was building a persona that protected him and imprisoned him. As Queen grew more flamboyant, Freddie did too. The mustache, the tight clothes, the bare chest, the strut, the wink. But when it came to his personal life, he shut the world out. Freddie Mercury never publicly came out as gay. Even those closest to him didn't always know the full truth, not because he was ashamed, but because the world wasn't ready. And he knew it. Meanwhile, something else was growing in the shadows. AIDS. By 1985, it was an epidemic and a death sentence. It was stigmatized, feared, misunderstood. And in that world, Freddie lived fast, partied hard, and never spoke about what scared him most. In 1987, he was diagnosed with HIV, but he didn't tell anyone, not even his bandmates. He kept performing, he kept writing, he kept pretending. Freddie's response to his diagnosis wasn't silence. It wasn't to withdraw or disappear into the shadows. His response was to fight back, not with fists or fury, but with the one weapon he'd always trusted: creativity. He didn't retreat, he created. Instead of slowing down, he pushed Queen forward. He urged the band to keep recording, to keep experimenting, to keep evolving. In 1989, they released The Miracle, an album filled with energy, layered harmonies, and emotional undercurrents that only make sense in hindsight. 2 years later came Innuendo, a record that felt both triumphant and tragic, a swan song painted in operatic color and quiet despair. Even as his immune system collapsed, even as his body wasted away, Freddie's voice remained otherworldly, soaring above pain, refusing to crack. He didn't ask for sympathy, he didn't chase headlines. He didn't want the public to mourn before he was gone. He wanted one thing and one thing only: music. He wanted to exit the stage doing what he loved most, surrounded by the people who helped him build the legacy he knew would outlive him. There's a moment, a breathtaking and almost supernatural moment, in the song "The Show Must Go On," released just weeks before he died. Brian May later admitted that Freddie could barely stand the day they recorded it. He looked frail. He was exhausted. But when it came time to sing, he summoned something from deep inside, something primal, defiant, immortal. He nailed the entire performance in one take. "My makeup may be flaking, but my smile still stays on." That wasn't just a lyric. It was a declaration, a promise, a prophecy wrapped in melody. Behind the scenes, things were deteriorating fast. Freddie's condition was no longer something he could disguise. Lesions dotted his skin. His once commanding vision had started to blur. Walking became a challenge. Simple movements became a struggle. But he didn't stop. He wouldn't stop. He recorded until his lungs gave out. He sang until his legs couldn't hold him up. He gave everything until there was nothing left to give. In his final year, Freddie lived mostly at home in Kensington, London. He was surrounded by a close circle of friends and his longtime partner, Jim Hutton. The house was peaceful, private, and heavily guarded from the paparazzi who lurked outside. He had already prepared for his death. He left money to his staff. He ensured his music would survive him. And he stayed close to Mary Austin, the woman he once called the love of his life, despite their relationship evolving into deep friendship. Freddie's connection to Mary ran so deep that he left her half of his fortune and his house after he passed. He called her his common-law wife, and he meant it. On November 22nd, 1991, knowing the end was near and rumors were intensifying, Freddie Mercury made a rare public statement. Following the enormous conjecture in the press over the last 2 weeks, I wish to confirm that I have been tested HIV positive and have AIDS. I felt it correct to keep this information private to date to protect the privacy of those around me. However, the time has come for my friends and fans around the world to know the truth. He released that statement on a Friday. On Sunday, November 24th, 1991, Freddie Mercury died at the age of 45. All right, take a breath. If you've ever screamed Galileo at the top of your lungs in a car, it's time to honor the legend properly. Smash that like button like it's a gong at the start of a Queen concert. Drop a comment with your favorite Queen lyric. And subscribe for more stories that hit you like a piano solo from space. All right, let's bring it home. Freddie's death sent shockwaves through the world, and it changed things. His bandmates, once reluctant to speak about AIDS, became advocates. The 1992 Freddie Mercury tribute concert raised over £20 million for AIDS research and awareness. Artists like Elton John, David Bowie, Metallica, and George Michael filled Wembley Stadium to sing his songs, honor his legacy, and finally speak the truth out loud. Queen's entire catalog saw a massive resurgence in popularity after Freddie's death. Old fans returned. New fans were born. Bohemian Rhapsody, their magnum opus, rocketed back up the charts, not once but multiple times over the years. It became more than a song. It became an anthem across generations. Soon, documentaries flooded the airwaves, diving into Freddie's story with fresh reverence. Fans finally got a look behind the curtain, and decades later, in 2018, a major biopic brought his life back to center stage. Bohemian Rhapsody, the film, became a global sensation, grossing over $900 million worldwide. Rami Malek, portraying Freddie, won the Academy Award for Best Actor. Queen's music was reintroduced to a generation that never saw them live, and Freddie's voice, timeless as ever, continued to echo through stadiums, through earbuds, through car speakers, through wedding playlists, through TikToks, through hearts. Because Freddie's legacy wasn't just musical. It wasn't just about vocal range or stage presence or hit singles. It was spiritual, emotional, personal. Freddie Mercury taught the world what it means to live without apology, to take what makes you different and wear it like armor. He showed us how to blur lines between genres, between identities, between art and chaos. When he said, "I am who I am," he didn't whisper it. He roared it, then strutted across a stage in white spandex and a crown. He transformed insecurity into style, made buck teeth iconic, made opera cool, made flamboyance a revolution. He turned shame into glitter and vulnerability into power. And when the world tried to categorize him, box him in, or reduce him, he shattered their expectations and rewrote the entire definition of what a frontman could be. Freddie lived fast, boldly, with a fire that refused to dim. He lived fully, embracing extremes, chasing beauty, seeking love, giving chaos form. He lived honestly, even if the details of his private life remained protected. He didn't always explain himself. He didn't have to. And at the very end, when most people would have faded quietly into the background, he did the opposite. He didn't shrink. He didn't surrender. He sang, one last time, one final chorus. He left the world with music, not silence. Freddie Mercury didn't die quietly. He didn't fade out. He crescendoed. And Freddie Mercury doesn't belong to a single moment in time. He belongs to all of them. His energy, his attitude, his truth. They live on in every generation that dares to be loud and weird and fearless. He belongs to the outsiders, the misfits, the dreamers, the rebels, the artists, the performers who don't play by the rules, the weirdos who shine brighter because they never tried to dim. The quiet kids whose emotions are too big to keep inside. The ones who were told they're too much, too strange, too dramatic, and chose to turn up the volume instead of shutting down. He belongs to those who felt different and realized that was their superpower. Freddie once said, "I won't be a rock star. I will be a legend." And he was absolutely right. But beyond the legend, beyond the myth, beyond the thunder of the music, was a man, a deeply human soul. Flawed, kind, impulsive, funny, contradictory, shy and bold at once. Generous, private, bold, and in the final moments of his life, heartbreakingly fragile. So don't just remember the man who shook stadiums. Remember the one who, in the last music video he ever filmed, looked into the lens, smiled with hollow cheeks, and whispered, "I still love you." That, more than any chart-topping hit, is what made him immortal. That's vulnerability. That's defiance. That's courage. That's art. That's Freddie Mercury.